October 12, 1907, 9 o'clock hours. Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, Vienna, Austria. The corridor smells of wet paint and chalk dust. Sunlight spills through tall windows, illuminating canvases leaning against cracked plaster walls. Students bustle in and out, brushes in hand, their hair damp with sweat, their smocks streaked with color. You can almost hear the scraping of charcoal on paper, the quiet hum of creative ambition. A young man stands apart, clutching a portfolio too heavy for his thin arms. Adolf Hitler, 18 years old, hopes the walls themselves will whisper approval. His sketches are neat, precise, architectural. Buildings and cityscapes dominate, painstakingly detailed. He believes talent is measured in control, in order, in exactness. He submits his application to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. The panel of instructors glances over the work, their expressions polite but detached. Minutes stretch like hours. Finally, one professor leans back, pinches his nose, and mutters, utterly devoid of talent. The words fall like stones. Hitler's chest tightens. His dreams of becoming a professional artist crumble in that sterile, sunlit room. The rejection letter arrives weeks later, cold, bureaucratic, and unyielding. He had failed to capture what the Academy valued: imagination, expression, emotion. Undeterred, he applies again in 1908. This time, he tries to demonstrate maturity, improvement, refinement. His drawings are technically better, the lines sharper, the perspective more precise. He thinks skill will speak louder than passion. The Academy disagrees. Another rejection, another blow, another letter, lacking requisite artistic ability. You can almost feel the simmering anger building beneath the surface. A dark ember hidden beneath youthful disappointment. Rejection, humiliation, and a bruised ego fester. The boy who once dreamed of painting Vienna streets will soon learn to carry resentment like a weapon. From these early failures sprouts a seed, one that will grow slowly, invisibly, in the shadows of history. The boy does not burn canvases yet, but he begins to burn inside, plotting, observing, absorbing the sting of dismissal. The first lesson Hitler learns is that art, if denied to him, can be crushed, controlled, destroyed. The humiliation of a young man at the hands of indifferent teachers will echo across the decades, shaping not only a dictator, but a campaign against creativity itself. For now, Vienna continues around him, cafes alive with music, painters sketching in sunlight, students whispering about exhibitions in salons. Hitler leaves the academy, portfolio clutched to his chest, face pale, mind racing. A single thought hardens in his mind. If the world refuses me, I will take control. Control over cities, nations, and eventually art itself. But in this moment, it is still just a boy and a pile of rejection letters. The question lingers. How does a young man's fury over rejection turn into a cultural and political inferno decades later? March 5, 1920, Vienna, Austria. The city smells of damp cobblestones and coal smoke. Cafes bustle with writers, musicians, painters, and dreamers, their conversations overlapping in a symphony of ambition and creativity. You can almost hear the clatter of coffee cups and the scratch of pens on paper. Adolf Hitler, now 31, moves through the streets with the rigid posture of a man who believes he has been wronged. He carries with him the memory of rejection, a wound that refuses to heal. He walks past galleries and studios, glances at the works of others, and feels a bitter mix of envy and contempt. He sketches still, privately, architectural perspectives and cityscapes, but the joy is gone. The act of creation has been replaced by calculation. Art is no longer passionate as a measure of power, a tool for control. Each brushstroke, each line in his mind, becomes linked not to beauty, but to authority. By the early 1920s, Hitler has discovered a new battlefield: politics. Words, speeches, and propaganda replace the easel. But the lessons of rejection remain. If others can dictate taste, he decides, and he will seize the authority to define it himself. Fast forward to 1937, Germany is under the shadow of the Third Reich. The Reich Chamber of Culture, controlled by Hitler's loyalists, enforces the Führer's vision. In Munich, the infamous Degenerate Art exhibition opens. You can almost feel the tension in the air. Students and critics shuffle past paintings twisted and mocked. The canvases of modernists, Jews, and dissenters displayed as evidence of moral and cultural decay. Hitler walks the exhibition, eyes cold, expression unreadable. Every canvas, every sculpture, every work of innovation is a personal insult. These are the artists who, in some sense, succeeded where he failed. Their talent mocks his past, their imagination challenges his rigid order, and he has the power now, decades later, to strike back. Visitors jeer at the works. Sculptures are defaced. Paintings are ridiculed. You can almost hear the whispers. This is chaos. The humiliation Hitler once endured is reversed. He controls taste. Censors creativity, weaponizes ridicule, but humiliation alone is not enough. Hitler wants destruction. Not of people yet, but of what they created. Thousands of artworks, 5,000 in total, are confiscated across Germany. Museums, galleries, and private collections are emptied. Canvases stacked in warehouses. Sculptures crated, labeled for elimination. And then, on a cold February day in 1939, the fires begin. You can almost see the smoke curling, rising in the bitter air. The works of human imagination, dreams that once inspired, now vanish in flames. The act is both personal and political. A dictator's revenge on a world that once told him he lacked talent. You can almost hear the crackling of the fire as if it whispers. A young man scorned is capable of more than bitterness. He is capable of annihilation. But the destruction of art is only the beginning. The appetite for control, nurtured in Vienna and festered through humiliation, will soon extend far beyond galleries and museums. The question hangs heavy. How does a man who once carried rejection letters in his pocket decide that entire cultures deserve to burn? February 20th, 1939. Berlin, Germany. The sky above the warehouse is gray, heavy with winter clouds. Smoke curls from nearby chimneys, blending with the thin fog that hugs the cobblestone streets. Inside, the air is thick with the acrid smell of burning turpentine, linseed oil, and charred canvas. You can almost taste it, a metallic, bitter temps of destruction. Thousands of paintings lie stacked like kindling, their edges curling, colors bleeding, shapes warping under the heat. The works of modernists, Jewish artists, and anyone who dared challenge convention vanish in flames that roar and snap. Sculptures melt, paper crumbles, ink fumes swirl into the bitter air. Hitler watches, expression rigid, hands clasped behind his back. There is no joy, no satisfaction of creation, only the grim pleasure of obliteration. Every crackle of fire is a small revenge, each plume of smoke a personal triumph over the past, over rejection, over a world that once dismissed him. It is a ritual as precise as it is cruel. Flames consume not only materials, but memory, ideas, and defiance. You can almost hear the echo of that 18-year-old boy. Portfolio in hand, rejected twice by the Vienna Academy, the humiliation turned into hate, turned into ash. But this destruction is more than personal. Posters in the streets proclaim the Degenerate Art campaign, mocking the works while exalting the state-approved vision of order and beauty. Citizens are instructed to ridicule teachers, to indoctrinate, students to obey. The flames outside galleries mirror the fires inside the warehouses, a total assault on imagination. And yet, some works escape. Hidden, smuggled, secreted away by curators and citizens who understand the stakes. They preserve the human spirit, knowing that one day the fire may end, but memory endures. Still, for Hitler, this act cements a principle. Art is not neutral. Talent is not sacred. Control is absolute. If the world denies him recognition, he will ensure the world denies others expression. If he cannot create as he wished, he will punish those who can. You can almost see the twisted logic. The same boy who clutched rejection letters, heart pounding, now commands an entire nation to submit to his taste. The brush becomes a political weapon, the canvas, a battlefield, the fire, a tribunal of vengeance. But what begins with paint and paper is only the beginning. The appetite for obliteration, nurtured through humiliation and revenge, will not remain contained to galleries. Decades of resentment, personal grievance, and obsession with control are building towards something far larger. Because a man who burns 5,000 works of culture is capable of burning far more than canvases. September 10, 1939, Berlin, Germany. The echo of burning paint still lingers in memory, though the smoke has long dissipated. Hitler walks through the Reich Chancellery corridors, surrounded by generals, aides, and ministers. Maps of Poland, France, and Belgium cover tables. Troop movements are calculated with precision, battle plans laid bare. You can almost hear the march of boots, the scratching of pens over orders, the relentless hum of impending war. The boy who once faced rejection in Vienna is now a man commanding nations. The same bitterness remains, refined and magnified. Rejection may have been personal once, but now it fuels ideology, policy, and conquest. Authority replaces aspiration. Terror replaces creativity. And every action, every decree, carries the weight of a lifelong grudge. Just as he once ridiculed and incinerated artists, Hitler now targets the very people and nations who defy him. Cities burn, armies fall, lives are extinguished. The logic is consistent, if horrifying. Deny, destroy, dominate. Cultural humiliation has transformed into political annihilation. Inside the Reich, the concept of degenerate expands beyond the galleries. Modern art, music, literature, and theater are censored, altered, or banned. Teachers enforce conformity. Students learn to fear innovation. You can almost feel the tension in every lecture hall, every studio, every classroom, the invisible smoke of intimidation, suffocating creativity. Hitler's personal vendetta, born from rejection, now dictates the cultural heartbeat of a nation. What was once a slight to an aspiring painter becomes a mechanism to reshape society according to a singular, rigid vision. The shadow of a teenager's bruised ego stretches across Germany, suffocating imagination. And yet there is irony in the fire. By destroying art, he inadvertently immortalizes it. Some works survive in hidden collections, in secret rooms, in the memories of those who risked everything to protect them. The very act meant to erase genius only cements its legacy. Still, for Hitler, the logic is undeniable. If he could not be recognized for talent, no one else would be allowed to flourish without his approval. Rejection became doctrine. Humiliation became law. Ashes became authority. The world beyond Germany does not yet grasp the full scope. They see a dictator, they see aggression, they see armies. But beneath the military campaigns, beneath the invasion of nations, lies a far subtler terror, the deliberate extinguishing of human creativity, the shaping of minds and culture to serve a singular, tyrannical vision. And the question hangs, chilling and unavoidable. If rejection of a young man could lead to the destruction of thousands of works of art, what might decades of power, obsession, and revenge unleash next? May 20th, 1939, Berlin, Germany. The warehouses are silent now, emptied of paintings, sculptures, and the whispers of imagination. The fires have long died, leaving only ashes gray, cold, and bitter. You can almost feel the weight of absence, the emptiness where once color, form, and thought flourished. Hitler walks past the remnants, expression unreadable, hands clasped behind his back. He does not linger. The act of destruction is complete, and with it, the assertion of control is total. 5,000 works of human creativity reduced to smoke. Thousands of voices silenced. generations of talent punished for daring to exist outside his narrow vision. And yet, history will remember the fire not only for what it consumed, but for what it revealed about the man behind it. A boy rejected twice by the Vienna Academy became a dictator capable of orchestrating cultural annihilation. The humiliation of adolescence transformed into a system of censorship, propaganda, and destruction, a testament to the terrifying power of personal grievance magnified by political authority. Across Germany, museums, galleries, and classrooms tremble under the shadow of this new doctrine. Teachers instruct students to obey. Artists either conform or vanish. Creativity becomes a crime, imagination a threat. The world is reshaped not only by tanks and rifles, but by the careful extinguishing of ideas, one burned canvas at a time. And yet, for all his control, some works survived hidden in attics, secreted behind walls, smuggled out of the country. The flame that was meant to erase talent cannot fully succeed. The human spirit proves more resilient than the dictator's ego. You can almost hear the muted defiance of those artists, whispering across time, reminding the world that genius cannot be entirely burned. Hitler's revenge against his own youthful rejection leaves a chilling legacy, that personal grievance unchecked and magnified by absolute power can shape societies, rewrite culture, and devastate creativity on a massive scale. From canvas to conflagration, from humiliation to tyranny, the trajectory is clear. One man's wounded pride can ignite more than Führer can ignite history itself. And beneath it all, the question lingers, haunting and unavoidable. What does it say about a world that allows a boy's rejection to become a dictator's wrath? The ashes settle. The world will recover. Some art will survive. But the memory of the flames end, the man who set them